6:11, the meeting is now called to order. Ms. Rodarte, would you please lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance? Item number 3, establishment of quorum.
Rene Rodriguez,
Here.
Cesar Nevares,
Here.
Ralph Duran,
Here.
Mayor Elia Garcia,
Here.
Victor Perez is absent, and Ivan Colom Villalobos is absent. Mayor, we have a quorum.
Item number 4, public comment.
We have one speaker, Lorena Rodriguez. Ms. Rodriguez, you have 3 minutes.
Oh, okay. My name is Lorena Rodriguez. Good evening, board members and staff. I'm requesting an official letter from the City Council to be sent to our neighbors that surround 833 West Burt property that is owned by Claudia and Guillermo Gondeta, also known as Socorro Iron and Metal, stating the specific restrictions that the Gondetas must follow for using their residential property for commercial use. That was handed down by Judge Moody on January 10th, 2020. As of today, the neighborhood still has not been informed of the zoning changes or of the restrictions. My concerns is that Judge Moody will believe that we don't mind them using the residential property for commercial use for their 12 semi-trucks and roll-off trailers, and grant them permanent use and overturn the planning and zoning department and the city board members' vote to deny the Gondetas commercial use of the property. Or that we don't mind the intrusive sounds, dust, and assault to our senses, or the safety of our neighborhood, or the physical damage to our streets, culverts, handicap ramps, or curbs. Our neighbors don't know what was agreed to in court or behind the judge's chambers in private. If our neighbors don't know, they will not have a say. So please inform us of the restrictions and of our rights. Thank you.
Mayor, that was our only speaker.
Item number 5, presentation by Robert Campian, Elite Ambulance, regarding ambulance service quarterly report.
Hi, good evening, Mayor and Council. Thank you all for having me and Dr. Mario Padilla. Thank you. While that's getting started, let me first thank you all very much for the warm welcome that we received coming into Socorro and the responsiveness of everyone that we've met, from Public Works, the city manager's office, the IT department. Everyone we've met has been tremendous. This project has been more successful than we ever could have imagined. What I'd like to do tonight is just give you an update on where we're at, what we're doing, statistics, transports, answer any questions that you might have. And then I would like to do this quarterly or perhaps semi-annually, come and brief council on what we have going on and the direction that we'd like to go. So without further ado, I'll step into that. So everything I have is through February 17th that we'll be looking at. So there's been 1,001 calls for service. 95.3% of those transports have been covered by the Socorro-based units. So if you'll recall that we're down there at 317 Vineyard, we have 2 ambulances 24/7. And the average response time that we're currently have for October through January has been 8.5 minutes. We're hopeful that we can cut those response times, working with the city in changing up the garage doors. The garage doors add about a minute. So the city's been very responsive in helping us try to address that so that we can get some faster response times. Additionally, our October response times were a little bit slower than I had hoped, but as the crews become more familiar with the city, the response times have increased greatly. So last month was 8:15. The month before that was 7.5. So we're well within the national standard there. And at any point throughout this, if you have any questions, you want to stop me, but feel free. It won't bother me a bit. These are our transports by month, and these are not necessarily calls for service, but actual times that we've transported patients. That's the only time that we do bill. We have a fairly high refusal rate, which we'll get to on the next slide. Oftentimes it's someone that's been in a car accident that just wants to get checked. As long as we don't perform a treatment or administer a medication, we don't bill those patients. And this just shows our transport cancels and refusal rates. The cancellation rate has crept up a little bit as the fire department becomes more comfortable in, waiving off the ambulance if there's nothing needed or first responders do. We don't require that our ambulances, make contact as long as, someone qualified at the scene is able to state that there's no need for an ambulance. We allow for that. And then you can see the October response times as we were getting settled in were a little high, but those response times have come down. January was up a little bit, but we're very pleased with the response times that we've had so far. And some of this has been very assisted by better integration with El Paso 911, the computer-aided dispatch, the CAD systems. We accomplished the integration last month, so as the 911 dispatcher's inputting information, it's going into our CAD simultaneously, and we no longer require the web link that we were using before. So the efficiency has gone up, and then it also assists in giving third-party validation to any of the data that we have. So if there was ever a question about the data that we had, or we have another source, an independent source that we can go to look at that. And then the call types that we're seeing by month, for the most part, it's low acuity. So the basic life support transports are within the scope of an EMT basic. Usually it's a patient that requires some type of monitoring, but no invasive procedures are done, no IVs are started, perhaps some oxygen, but these patients are the most common across the board. What we see here reflects all the national trends. Our advanced life support patients, these require an advanced EMT or paramedic. They perhaps get an IV, receive a medication. That's the next category. And then ALS2 are patients that receive 3 or more medications. These are far more critical patients, and that works out. One of the items that we monitor very closely are the basic life support code 3 returns. So if a basic ambulance is dispatched, and remember we have a paramedic ambulance and a basic staffed ambulance, that would indicate to me that we didn't have the right level of care on the scene. So they arrived, they assessed the patient, it was beyond their capabilities, and so they put the patient in the back and went as quickly as they could to the next hospital. That's only been 6 times. So we've been very pleased with that result. It's a lot lower than what we had expected. So that we're very happy with that. And so then the last slide, I was told to keep it brief because people probably know that I'm not brief in anything, but the last slide that I wanted to address is the direction that we want to go. And that direction is we're very pleased to be your ambulance service, to respond to calls when called for, provide the best care that we can, transport patients, and then treat them fairly after the call. But we don't believe that it should stop there. It's just a vendor service provider relationship. We really do believe that we want to integrate into your community. So now that we've become settled, and we're starting to get the lay of the land, there's some programs that we want to look into. Senior fall prevention, of course, nationally is a big push. Senior falls, as you know, is a leading cause of trauma in the elderly, standing from ground level falls. And it's also the biggest cause of loss of independence. So typically after a fall, if there's a hospital stay or a procedure, the surgery that needs to be done in the hospital, it's very burdensome on families. So the best thing that we can do is identify at-risk patients, home inspections. There's a variety of programs out there that we could model that we would like to start undertaking in the community. There's also what we've seen called the Vecinos programs, where simply it's a list of telephone numbers, and as EMTs have spare time in their day, and sometimes there's hours between calls, they check in on seniors or the vulnerable in the community. They call, they make sure that someone answers. Are you feeling okay? Are you taking your medications? Do you need help? And make sure that they're awake, alert, talking, and somebody's caring for them in the community. So we'd like to get that started. And then also in the region right now, there is a push for a Vial of Life program. And that is a prescription pill bottle that they keep in their refrigerator. It's clearly labeled Vial of Life. It has all of their information in it. So if they're unable to speak, that they're able to find this Vial of Life, access information about primary care physicians, medications, medical conditions, so on and so forth. Vial of Life will run its course. Its program's been around for about 20 years. Everybody's phone now has the same, and it's not restricted to being kept in the refrigerator, but there is a local push for it going on now. But we do want to do some public education about making sure that people have their emergency information, either on their phone or in their refrigerator, and just getting the word out there. So that's hopefully some programs that when I come back, we'll be talking about the next time, talk about the rollout of these programs as we try to not just respond to emergencies, but improve the overall health of the community. That ends my presentation. I wanted to give an opportunity to answer any questions if you have them.
Mr. Rodriguez?
Before I get to you, did we already resolve the issue about the phone calls and the radios with them?
Oh, he's asking regarding the ESD, that they didn't want to add us to their radios system, and that has not been resolved.
So I am not the expert to answer on the radio integration. However, the last word that I heard is that El Paso 911 would be purchasing radios that would be owned by the city that would then be loaned to Elite to allow ESD2 and the inbound ambulance the ability to talk directly. So my understanding is that that will happen. So now it's just a matter of when and not if.
Okay. Yes, because I know that was an issue, and I wanted to see if that was adding time to the calls and stuff, because I know it fluctuated, but that's an issue. I mean, if you can't get the calls because they're not trying to give you the few radios, and that is a great concern for me.
Oh, me as well.
And I'm pretty sure that our constituents will feel the same. So if there is a problem, then we need to address it, and we need to address it as soon as possible, because that's something that can shave off time.
The good news is I believe El Paso 911 has solved that issue for us. It's just a matter of the acquisition and programming of the radios, and then we'll be live. Now, right now, there's nothing that's delaying our response based on communications, because we have the interlink now between El Paso 911 and our dispatch center. But definitely from a provider safety information sharing standpoint, the ability for those on scene to talk to those headed to the scene is critical. And that problem will be solved, I believe, in the next 30 days.
Okay.
Ms. Villalobos?
I also have a question on the time response. I noticed that times response were between 7.5 to 9.5 minutes. Is that the national standard or rate, or
So,
whatever you want to call it?
Yes, ma'am. The National Fire Protection Agency has, they put out a lot of standards, the NFPA standards, and they've said 8 minutes for ambulance response in an urban area, which we would be considered to be. That's based on the American Heart Association recommendation that no one should be without blood flow or oxygen for 8 minutes. So they have said that because they have to have a standard, they said 8 minutes is the standard. So we are very well within what I would say to be the standard, and that the response times are definitely good. And once we get the garage doors, I think our response times will be looking much better.
Besides the garage doors, is there anything else that is making the response time delay?
So
Besides,
long-term strategic planning would be to better centralize the ambulance station. Currently, we sit in the southeast corner of the city, down at 317 Vineyard. Bulk of the population is more northwest. So moving the ambulances closer to where the people are would be great. However, I think we're doing a great job with what we have as far as, city property that's available for the ambulance to use. But long-term, if we were able to move those ambulances, or perhaps move one of the ambulances so we cover the city from two flanks, that may work out over time as well. But that would be the second recommendation I would make to improve response times.
okay, thank you.
All right. Well, thank you all, and I just do want to tell you thank you for trusting us with your community. Thank you for your support and the leadership that you give, and the city, all the staff, every department we've worked with has been an absolute joy. So they deserve a big kudos for being a tremendous role in this success. So thank you.
Likewise.
Thank you.
Item number 6, presentation by Rudy Cruz Tigua Incorporated regarding Animal Services Quarterly Report.
Honorable Mayor, Council, staff. My name is Rudy Cruz. I'm the General Manager at Tiwa Inc. And one of our subsidiaries is Tiwa Facilities. As you know, the corporation is owned and operated by the Isleta del Sur Pueblo Indian Tribe of Texas. We're your next door neighbors, so we're very proud and pleased and honored to serve the city of Socorro. For those of you who don't know, Tiwa Animal Control, which is only a division of what Tiwa Facilities is, we currently service Fort Bliss, military installation, Belfort Beatty housing communities, McGregor Range, the reservation, and the city of San Elizario, along with the city of Socorro. Very brief, you can see we started patrolling the city of Socorro in October of 2019, and since then up to date we've received a total of 531 calls from the city of Socorro. All the calls are made to our dispatch. We currently use the CAD system as well, and I want to show you some numbers here real quick. You can bring them up. Okay. So I'll navigate here as best as I can. So right here you'll see the breakdown in calls. You'll see that animal bites, animal cruelty cases, animal holding, there's been noise complaints or animal problems of any sort. An animal problem would be considered maybe somebody owning more than the allowable amount of pets. And you can see that the bulk of the calls here are just loose animals. You see them running around. I'm a resident of Socorro. I see them running around also. I mean, in the summer, you want to take a walk, you gotta carry a stick with you, right? But hopefully, we've been able to help with decreasing the numbers of animals. Response time has gone from currently with the county of El Paso, it was anywhere between 3 hours to sometimes 2 to 3 days. Our current response time is 1 hour, same day response. That's what you're gonna get. You're getting weekends as well. However, when there ever is an emergency or the Socorro Police Department calls out, or there is a bite, or someone's been attacked, we will respond, whether it's after hours, the weekend, or it's a holiday, we will respond to any type of emergency like that. I know another issue that the city was facing a while back was you never received this information here. And I don't know if the council can see what I'm scrolling through. These are addresses, along with the cases, case numbers, dates, officer that responded, and clearance code. And this right here will let you know exactly which resident we responded to here in the city of Socorro. If you'd like to go through the list, or you have time to go through the list with any of your staff members, please do so. If you see an address in there that does not belong to Socorro, you let us know, and we will reimburse you in full. I know in the past, the county wasn't providing this information to the city of Socorro. There may have been cases where you all have, maybe an animal was captured in Sanelli, Clint, or even the county. It's getting billed to Socorro. At the end of the day, whenever these animals get caught, the loose animals, if they're not claimed by their owner, what happens is they go to the animal services over on Fred Wilson, and what happens is basically the residents of Socorro end up paying for vaccines, any type of surgeries that the animal may be needing. That's what you all are paying for. So we want to avoid that at all possible. So as soon as we capture an animal, the first thing we do is we scan it, make sure it doesn't belong to anybody. If it does belong to somebody and that person does not live in Socorro, guess what? Socorro does not pay for that. We kick that back over to the owner of the pet. Now, if the owner comes back and say, well, I gave it to my primo or my tia over in Socorro, well, guess what? Policies state that whenever you do, give away an animal or you transfer custody, they need to change all that information over. So that doesn't matter. Those people need to take care of their pets and their bills. At the end of the day, one of the things that I did want to bring up is the ability for our officers to cite. I believe that didn't take effect until late December of last year, November, if I'm not mistaken. What I want to do is I want to create a new line of revenue for the city of Socorro. In 4 months, in the first 4 months that we were providing services to the city of San Elizario, we managed to make them or generate close to $20,000 in citations alone. Our current contract with San Elizario is close to $40,000. At the rate we're going, by month 8, San Eli will have paid for their contract through their own citations running through their own court system. We do not go through the JP court. We go through your court system. You guys are a city. You guys have your own court system, so we're going to treat it like that. So at the rate we're going right now, citations, there haven't been many because we just started citing. My officers barely started citing in the city of Socorro. There's been 8, I believe, a total of 8. Again, those may get deferred, whatever the judge works out, you know, the deal that he may work out. He or she may work out with the resident. That's on y'all. But what we want to do is we want to be able to through the citation process and system, is have the contract pay for itself. Anything beyond that, it's revenue to the city of Socorro. It's money in your pocket. You guys can do whatever you feel you need to do with that money. But for the most part, this is my presentation. It's short. It's brief. We're a phone call away. If there's any information that you all need, your court system or your government, please reach out. You have our phone number, our email. Don't call a dispatch because the dispatch is going to want to respond to a call of any kind. But here's the information. It's in black and white. Yeah.
Thank you.
Any questions or concerns or anything I need to know of my officers? Are we performing to your standards? If not, we can make those adjustments as needed.
Mr. Rodriguez?
No, I just want to say thank you because this is information that we haven't received. We've been asking for, and we can see the quality of service that we're receiving. And I like it because this is something that when we ask, hey, we need numbers, you know, I like it how you broke it down. Hey, 21 bites, you know, loose dogs, cruelty, all of that. I like all that breakdown, and that's one thing that we should be proud is that, you know, we have this partnership with you guys that you guys are really not only upholding your end of the bargain, but you're really, really showing us all of the numbers and stats. So thank you, because that's something that we were lacking with the other provider.
Appreciate that. Duly noted. And just so you know that although we are a federally recognized Indian tribe and we have our own form of government and we're really, it's another world once you enter the reservation. You know, no law enforcement agency can enter upon prior approval. But what we are going to start doing is, because we are sister cities, is we are going to open up any and all vaccine operations that we hold on the reservation. So I believe Victor's received that information this weekend on Sunday. We're having one. We're going to have vaccinations. There is going to be a cost for the vaccinations, but they are at a discounted price. They're not what you would pay at a regular hospital or animal clinic. I believe first 20 that show up, free spay and neuter for those pets. So I'm looking at getting through the Indian Health Services through grants and stuff like that. We're looking at around maybe 400 to 250 rabies vaccinations. We're looking to open that up to the city of Socorro as well, partnered up with our folks on the reservation. So your residents are more than welcome to enter the reservation for these events. And we make it public and we make it known to your government. Just want to put that out there, okay?
Well, thank you.
Thank you.
Awesome.
Thank you.
Mr. Duran?
This is just a comment. I did have occasion to call Animal Services, and the officers that showed up were courteous. They were knowledgeable, and they were very gentle with the animal that I had trapped. And the response time was about 20 minutes from when I called. And the previous time that I had to call animal control, it took them 4 hours to show up.
From the county?
From the county.
Okay.
So I just want to let you know that your officers are doing a great job, and the young men that showed up were extremely professional.
Thank you.
They answered all my questions, and they handled themselves in a very professional manner, and I just,
Appreciate that.
you should know that your guys
Appreciate
are doing a great job.
I'll let my people know. Do you live next to a restaurant? Because my guys usually hang out around the restaurant area. No? Okay. No, I'm messing around. But no, thank you. And I'll be letting my staff know about the good work they're doing here in Socorro. And we appreciate your all's business. We're here to serve the residents in the community of Socorro. Thank you all.
Thank Thank you.
Mr. Duran?
Mayor, at this time, I'd like to move item number 20, Resolution 612, item number 23, and number 24 up at this time.
20, what else?
20, 23, and 24, in that order.
It's 28.
28.
Second.
Rene Rodriguez,
Aye.
Cesar Nevares,
Yes.
Ralph Duran,
Yes.
and Iván Colom Villalobos.
Yes.
Item number 20, discussion and action to approve Resolution 612 as a continued support letter for the Hacienda Santa Barbara Apartments.
Good evening, Mayor, City Council, staff, residents of Socorro. My name is Ruben Trujillo. I am the Executive Director of Housing Economic Rural Opportunity. Rose Garcia, Tierra del Sol, Executive Director. We are here to speak about Hacienda Santa Barbara. Housing and Economic Rural Opportunity is a 501c3 nonprofit corporation founded in 1987. We have a history of working with farm labor communities. We have developed farm labor apartment complexes not only in Texas, but also in New Mexico. We provide assistance to low and moderate income families to obtain adequate housing, social services, employment opportunities. Our offices are located in Las Cruces and in El Paso. We have been supported by USDA financing on 2.5 loan at 1% interest for 33 years. We are seeking out tax credits from private equity of 5.16 million. We have 40 apartments. The site is sitting on 3.5 acres located at 525 Three Missions Drive. We have 8 one-bedroom units, 12 two-bedroom units, 23 bedroom units. We also provide a one-site resident manager, a 2-age appropriate playground, washer and dryer hookups in all the units. These apartments are built in the standard of energy efficiency. All 40 units have USDA RD rental assistance. This is the layout of where the property is going to be located at 525 Three Missions Drive. This is what the future home of Hacienda Santa Barbara will look like. As you can see, right in the center is the community center and the office where the manager would work. To the left are the apartment complexes, and one to the right. The front of the the manager of the community center location is the playground for the children to play in. These are what the bedroom sizes would look like. Our 1, our 2, and our 3 bedroom units. The sizes range from 800 square feet to 1,100 to 1,200 square feet. Housing and Economic Rural Opportunity, HERO, is asking for the City of Socorro support for the housing development in order to submit successful application. Local government support would provide 17 points with this application. We are also asking for the development funding financial benefit to the development, reduction in building permits, and related cost of $500. Would you like to say something, Rose?
Yes, and I'm Rose Garcia with Tierra del Sol Housing Corporation. And Tierra del Sol is a partner with Housing and Economic Rural Opportunity nonprofit. We're both nonprofit organizations, and with Tierra del Sol, we specialize in housing for agricultural workers. As you know, your county is very rich in receipts from agricultural production in this area of the country. And so we're one of the only builder of the area of Texas and New Mexico building for agricultural workers. We've been working on this for 47 years. Tierra del Sol was created by farm workers many years ago. And the intent is to stabilize the workers, to be able to stay here, live in a very decent place. And these would be conventional type apartments, and they would be subsidized based on their income. So they only pay 30% of their monthly income. And agricultural workers typically don't earn a whole lot of income. But usually when they're stabilizing their apartments, then we come in with our housing counselors and we provide home buyer education and encourage them to buy a home and stay around permanently. And so we've been in Socorro for many years. We own the senior apartments right next door to this land site off of North Loop behind the post office. We've been there for probably almost 15 years in the seniors. And we have a huge waiting list for the seniors, as well as the other apartments are Tierra Socorro, 64 units. So, and more recently are the similar property is in San Elizario that we built 6 years ago near the Placita. And that has a waiting list of 25 to 30 farm worker families. So this is your economy, your workforce of the area, and it's very important to keep them here. And so we're asking you to support that. It's a wonderful investment to City of Socorro and to the community. It'll be home-based workers, and it also generates the tax revenues as we're building apartments. We'll be paying property tax, and so it's already zoned. We've owned the land for a long time, and we've tried for a number of years to complete the financing. The first part of the $2.5 million that were awarded from Washington was very recently, which we're very fortunately. There was only 10 projects like this in the whole country. So we were selected for this. And so this second part of the financing is highly competitive. So it goes to Texas Department of Housing and Community Affairs. So I guess our bottom line request is that your letter of support means a lot of scoring points to the competition, and the $500 to offset any costs that you want to designate. That provides the proposal additional points. So, but thank you so much for having us here.
Thank you.
Do we have a motion?
Make a motion to approve.
Second.
Could you put that map up where it's gonna be at again, so that people can see? No, yeah. So just people will
Yeah, there's,
Okay.
you're looking at the site?
Mhm.
Yes, it's right next to the seniors.
Mhm. I know, just for them
Mhm.
to know.
And
Thank you.
then the architect is from El Paso, and so he is offering a kind of a southwestern design that's pretty compatible for the city of Socorro. He's a very good architectural firm that's well known in the area.
Okay. Thank you.
Rene Rodriguez,
Aye.
Cesar Nevares,
Yes.
Ralph Duval,
Yes.
and Iván Colombia López.
Yes.
Thank you so
Thank you.
much.
Item number 23, discussion and action to renew Dannenbaum Engineering Professional Services negotiated agreement for general engineering services and authorize the city manager or her designee to execute the work order.
Make a motion to approve. Second.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. City staff is requesting to renew engineering services for 2 years for Dannenbaum Engineering. Right now, we do have several MPO projects that have momentum, and we don't want to lose that momentum. They are working on the Arterial 1682, Nuevo Hueco Tanks Road Extension, the Rio Vista and Bovey Bridge, Passmore Hike and Bike Trail, and of course, the Onion Field ponding area for the Sparks Arroyos. So we are requesting that we renew their contract for 2 more years.
Mayor, we have a speaker for this item. Miriam Cruz.
Thank you, Ms. Navarro. I was just wondering, I can understand why, if momentum is the reason why we want to renew, why maybe you guys wouldn't go out for bid. One of the reasons why I have concerns is because there have been times that I've stood up here and questioned some of the engineering proposals, and I haven't done that just based on my curiosity. I've actually spoken to a few engineers, and I've showed them some of the plans that were proposed by Dannenbaum, and I was given some feedback that's different from the reasonings that they provided for some of the things that they said that they couldn't do or that wouldn't work. These are engineers that have a lot of experience, and so I bring this to your attention because there's probably great things that they're doing. There's probably some projects that they're doing really well, and I think that maybe there's some that they're not. And so I would hope that you guys consider this information and maybe visit this again. If you're going to extend for 2 years, consider then going out for bid earlier, so that, you know, if that momentum doesn't run out, you can continue it with a different engineering group. I also say it because I think that they might get this message, so thank you.
Mayor, if I might speak. So one of the components when it comes to transportation planning is that the state took a position to ensure that municipalities or counties or anybody outside the DOT, when they're submitting for federal projects, that they have the actual capability to plan, to develop, engineer, and of course construct. So part of the vetting system is that TxDOT has a requirement to ensure that that municipality, or if it hires an engineer, to go through this process. In reviewing the potential of either renewing the contract or going out there and finding a new general contractor or general engineering contractor, is that we would have to start again that entire process. So the projects that we do have, we already have agreements that will be signed shortly. So the essential component here is that out of the necessity, because we vetted through the entire TxDOT project, the MPO has recognized that. They're all going through the federal program now. We would have to start, you know, all over again, should the body decide to go for a new RFQ.
Mr. Rodriguez?
And just to piggyback off of Mr. Medina, is we were at a meeting 2 weeks ago, I believe, 2 weeks ago, at their facility at TxDOT, and we were going over the extension of Nuevo Hueco tanks from North Loop to Alameda, and we are getting awarded $3.5 million to do the P&E, which is the planning and engineering. That's where they told us as well that, you know what, if you decide to go and get another engineer firm, you're gonna lose that funding, basically, because the time is that we need to already start doing it, because we only have a limited window on that funding that needs to be used. And if we're gonna go out for qualifications for another engineering, they have to still be vetted by TxDOT, so that they can say, okay, well, you are able to adequately engineer some of our projects, and that takes a long process. And therefore, you know, it's vital for us, because we already have that extension already. We already got awarded the 3.5. We already have you know, the Tigua Boulevard. We're actually looking at that meeting, didn't we discuss also the extension, continuing the extension of the Hueco tanks from Alameda all the way to East Highway, Border Highway. So those are things that we're already doing. We're trying to get a TRZ. So it's very important to have somebody already because these projects are already starting. So it'll just, yeah, we just have to do it, period. You know, and they've been good, you know. I mean, they've been really good.
Ms. De Los?
Ms. Miriam, thank you for the question. I think it opened up the conversation with Mr. Medina. Thank you for the information because, quite frankly, did not know. I also had a question on why it wasn't sent out to bid. And what you're saying right now is that the MPO agrees that this firm is a good firm and that they're willing to work with them.
Yes.
So that says a lot.
And they're vetted already.
Right.
So
And so it
they're-
says a lot, it says a lot. And so that satisfies what my question would have been. Thank
Okay.
you.
Thank you.
Rene Rodriguez,
Aye.
Cesar Nevares,
Yes.
Ralph Duran.
Yes.
And Iván Colombia López.
Yes.
Item number 24, discussion and action to allow Lower Valley Water District to use a small portion of Mauro Rosa's land to install a 10x10 lift station. Before such action takes place, the Lower Valley Water District and the City of Socorro will comply with Parks and Wildlife Code Chapter 26, Protection of Public Parks and Recreation Lands.
Good evening, Mayor, City Council, members of your staff, the City of Socorro, and the members of the public. This evening, we come before you to ask for permission. On the Rosa Sur project, we ran into a small snag on the project that we have been looking for a piece of property for us to be able to put a lift station. Because there are some requirements that environmental, we have to make sure that we have to have a piece of property that's within the jurisdiction of where the project is being built. So one of the things that fell through was a piece of property that we were looking at in one of the streets on Florida X. But our engineer from MCI is here, and to tell you a little bit about what the project looks like. It is about the project is 411 homes or lots, the Rosa Sur project, that we have started construction. We are already at the critical stage. The contract is up for the ending that we need to be finished by June. So there's some engineering that we have to get done. The construction company, CMD, is also started phase 3. There's 3 phases in this project, huge project. And so phase 3 is in the other side of the lateral. The part in question that we're talking about is right at where the lateral is. So it's a perfect location for us to put this lift station. And this will service the rest of that community. And so we come before you and see if there's something that you all will entertain for us to provide sewer service to our residents in this area.
Ms. De Los?
No, I'm sorry. Was he?
Oh, sorry. Michael Flores, Lower Valley Water District. I apologize. I've known when I did the presentation for the bond elections. Again, thank you. Today, this evening, I have Mr. Saul Trejo, our consulting engineer from MCI.
Good evening, Mayor, City Council. My name is Saul Trejo, and I work for the MCI firm. On behalf of the Lower Valley Water District, we are trying to finish this project. So, Mr. Flores gave pretty much a pretty good summary of the project. I will just add that the project is being funded by Texas Development Board, and that was one of the conditions that the funding put in, that the lift station site would be within the project area. The Lower Valley Water District has been looking for properties outside and even within the project area, and there has been no luck on acquiring a property for a lift station.
So at this point, where the proposed site is right now, right next to the Franklin Drain, it would serve perfectly because the residents that will be served by this lift station will be north of the Franklin Drain. So that area right there will be going into that lift station. And I understand there's a couple of options. So if one of the options is close to the cul-de-sac, and then another option that we can do is, let's see, it's here in the very back of the park. So obviously that might be something more feasible for the city, since it's towards the back, is people out of sight, out of mind. So probably. Another thing that I might add is that the site that we would need for it is about 70 by 70. So the lift station, the infrastructure, the pump and the wet well, it is a 10 by 10 foot, but the Lower Valley Water District will need access to it with trucks and stuff like that. So the property itself will be a 70 by 70.
Just, oh, sorry.
Mr. Rodriguez?
No, you were first. You were
Yeah.
first.
Just real quick. This site, is there any odor to it? Is it gonna, disturb our residents where they're currently at? I'm sorry, if we were to go, I know that I like the proposal of going all the way to the back, but if we were to go to the front, would it, is there an odor to it? Is there any feedback that you can give me from other sites that you?
Yeah, definitely. So this is a very small lift station. Usually the Lower Valley Water District prefers the regional lift stations where you have quite a bit of area collected from for sewage. So it is a little more difficult to control odors on a regional lift station. On a small lift station, it's a lot easier, and there's methods that the Lower Valley Water District can pursue to minimize or eliminate those odors. The odors will come in as soon as the sewage becomes septic. For the sewage to become septic, it needs to be stagnant for quite a bit of time. In this case, we're not expecting that. We're not expecting, because the area that it's going to serve is right next to it, is very close. So the sewage is going to be there soon, and it's going to pump out as soon as it comes in. However, there's no way that we can predict that it's going to be zero odors. What we can tell you is that it's a lot easier to manage on this size of lift station.
Thank you.
Hmm?
Mr. Rodriguez?
Yeah, I was gonna say is about the odor. Is it the same size as the one that's on down the street?
It is smaller though. Yeah. So the size, the print. It's
No,
quite-
the diameter of it.
the property
The
itself.
property itself. That's what we're looking at.
Yeah, it is even smaller, a little bit smaller. But you can be looking at that in that area more or less.
Oh, okay. I got you. Okay. What would
Do we have a motion?
Staff? What do you recommend?
Well, we recommend, our people need services in that area, docks and all, this is for the Los Azul project.
Mm-hmm.
So it's affecting a lot of people that don't have these services, so I think if we're able to help, we need to. We just do need to meet some public notification, because it's a park, letting them know that this is what we're gonna do. We just needed approval from you all, so we can start that process.
Well, at this time, I would like to propose to approve the one that's at the back of the option 3.
Second.
4? Is it 4?
Option 4.
Okay, option 4, which is the one right there, the farthest away, and it'll be in
Option 4.
between both of the canals.
I only have 3.
Mr. Martinez?
It says at the bottom, option 4. Okay, gotcha.
Just to advise council, the city manager alluded to it. If you approve this, if you pass it, it'll trigger a process. There'll be a series of notifications and public hearings. And as part of that, we may recommend to city council that you actually do a formal easement, or transfer some kind of land interest to the Lower Valley Water District. But I'm not there yet. Certainly,
We may also look into, asking them to put a rock wall around it, just to protect the residents or anyone going in there, because it's gonna be such,
And because it's gonna be at a park as
at
well,
the very
so
end,
the kids,
yes.
you know how kids are, jumping on fences. I used to do it. Okay.
That is something, to the council, Mayor, is, when we talked originally, with your staff, that was one of the concerns, is how can we protect it from the outside elements, when the vandalism and the people, so we did look at, the rock wall issue.
Okay. Thank you.
you.
Aye.
Yes.
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 Mayor, City Council, City Manager, thank you so much for the support of the Lower Valley Water District. Thank you all.
Thank you.
Have a good evening.
Thank you. We'll see you on the 27th.
Moving back to consent agenda, do we have a motion?
Cruz Azul, ask her. ¿Verdad? Desde 2013 we've been pushing this.
Oh, yes, sorry, the Rosa Azul project.
Mm-hmm.
Do we have a motion for consent agenda?
Motion to approve.
Second. Aye.
Yes.
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 Item number 9, discussion and action to approve an increase of $400 for the startup budget for the City of Socorro Community Initiative.
Motion to approve?
Second.
Good afternoon, Mayor and Council. Alejandra Valadez, Grants Coordinator for the City of Socorro. On October 17th, 2019, the City Council approved an initial startup for the City of Socorro Community Initiative, which is our new nonprofit organization. At this point, we are requesting an increase of $400 to the budget for a total of $1,800. This is to cover the cost of the website development. It turns out it was a little bit more expensive for the hosting and the maintenance fees.
Which we knew that it would.
Yes.
Aye.
Yes.
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 Item number 10, discussion and action to approve Resolution 601, authorizing the City of Socorro to submit a grant application to the Office of the Governor's Fiscal Year 19, Operation Stone Garden. There is no match requirement for this
Make a
grant.
motion to approve.
Second?
Mayor and Council, we are requesting your approval to submit an application to the FY19 Operation Storm Garden. We have participated in this program since 2015, and we need a resolution of approval in order to submit the application again.
Excellent.
Aye.
Yes.
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 Item number 11, discussion and action to approve Resolution 602, authorizing the submission of a grant application to the Office of the Governor, Fiscal Year 2021, Project Safe Neighborhoods Program for the Socorro Police Department.
Make a motion
There is
to
no
approve.
match requirement for this grant.
Second?
Mayor and Council, this is a grant application to the 2021 Project Safe Neighborhoods Program. We are requesting approximately $14,400 for the Socorro Safe Neighbors Program. We are requesting overtime for our Community Resources Officer, educational materials, and community policing training. The officer will canvass neighborhoods to meet with residents and discuss neighborhood safety issues. He or she will conduct safety meetings, support the creation and formation of neighborhood watch groups in different neighborhoods, and also engage the residents to build trusting relationships with our community.
Excellent, excellent.
Aye.
Yes.
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 Item number 12, discussion and action to approve Resolution 603, authorizing the submission of a grant application to the Office of the Governor Fiscal Year 2021 Juvenile Justice and Truancy Prevention Program grant for the Socorro Police Department. There is no match requirement for this grant.
Make a motion to approve.
Second?
We are requesting once more your approval to submit an application to the FY 2021 Juvenile Justice and Truancy Prevention Program. We are requesting approximately $58,000 for the salary and equipment of a youth officer. The youth officer will increase collaboration with our local partners, specifically the SISD Police and other youth services programs.
to identify youth that are at risk of entering the juvenile justice system and prevent crime around schools and neighborhood.
Excellent.
Rene Rodriguez,
Aye.
Cesar Nevares,
Yes.
Ralph Duran,
Yes.
Victor Pérez is absent, and Iván Colom Villalobos.
Yes.
Item number 13, discussion and action to approve Resolution 604 to the Office of the Governor, Homeland Security Grants Division, fiscal year 2020 State Homeland Security Program, regular for the Socorro Police Department. There is no match requirement for this grant.
Make a motion to approve.
Second.
This is another grant application that does require a resolution. We will request approximately $32,000 in funding for a license plate reader from the State Homeland Security Program. The license plate reader will allow the Socorro Police Department to quickly scan and identify criminal actors that are driving through our community in a more efficient manner.
Excellent.
Rene Rodriguez,
Aye.
Cesar Nevares,
Yes.
Ralph Duran,
Yes.
Victor Pérez is absent, and Iván Colom Villalobos.
I hope we get 2 of those or 3 of those in the next couple of years. Yes.
I hope so.
Item number 14, discussion and action to approve Resolution 605, authorizing the submission of a grant application to the Office of the Governor, Homeland Security Grants Division, fiscal year 2020 State Homeland Security Program regular for the Socorro Police Department. There is no match requirement for this grant.
Make a motion to approve.
Second.
This is another grant application to the State Homeland Security Program. We are requesting approximately $55,000 for 2 video surveillance systems to be placed at Cougar Park and Bulldog Championship Park. As you know, because we are very close to the border, we have identified Cougar Park and Bulldog Championship Park as having the potential to be used as meeting places for criminal activities and planning. Also, because these sites are used for large community events, they have been identified as potential targets for terrorist threats or incidents as well. So the cameras will assist with the surveillance to allow SPD to identify potential terrorist threats and prosecute individuals that carry out crimes on those 2 parks.
Ms. Villalobos?
Excellent. I use the park to walk, and all I see is people walking in the morning. At night, I don't know because there's no lights. So what about the lights? Does this cover lights? What are we talking about?
We're looking at various video surveillance systems. There are some that have the night vision mode, and then there are some that have the lights that turn on when they sense activity. So we'll get with our IT director to make sure that we have the ability to see when it's dark, either through the night vision or through the lights.
Okay. Thank you.
Rene Rodriguez,
Aye.
Cesar Nevares,
Yes.
Ralph Duran,
Yes.
Victor Pérez is absent, and Iván Colom Villalobos.
Yes.
Item number 15, discussion and action to approve Resolution 606, authorizing the submission of a grant application to the Office of the Governor, Homeland Security Grants Division, fiscal year 2020 State Homeland Security Program, regular, for the City of Socorro Police Department. There is no match requirement for this grant.
Make a motion to approve.
Second.
Mayor and Council, this is another grant application to the same State Homeland Security Program. We will request approximately $15,000 for the funding of a total station forensic surveying equipment and the training for the officers to be able to use it. The surveying equipment is used at a crime scene to quickly scan and map the scene. This allows our police officers to quickly collect evidence, record data that is on the site, and then use it in their investigations thereafter.
Rene Rodriguez,
Aye.
Cesar Nevares,
Yes.
Ralph Duran,
Yes.
Victor Pérez is absent, and Iván Colom Villalobos.
Yes.
Item number 16, discussion and action to approve Resolution 607, authorizing the submission of a grant application to the Office of the Governor, Homeland Security Grants Division, fiscal year 2020 State Homeland Security Program regular for the Socorro Police Department. There is no match requirement for this grant.
Make a motion to approve.
Second.
This is another grant application to the State Homeland Security Grant Program. We will be requesting approximately $25,000 for the funding of 2 dual-purpose canines with search and rescue capabilities and accompanying training. The canines will be provided training, protective equipment, transport, accessories, and search and rescue training to assist with potential terrorist threats and incidents.
Excellent.
Rene Rodriguez,
Aye.
Cesar Nevares,
Yes.
Ralph Duran,
Yes.
Victor Pérez Isanza, and Iván Colom Villalobos.
Yes.
Item number 17, discussion and action to approve Resolution 608, authorizing the submission of a grant application to the Office of the Governor, Homeland Security Grants Division, fiscal year 2020, State Homeland Security Program Regular for the Socorro Police Department. There is no match requirement for this grant.
Make a motion to approve.
Second.
Mayor and Council, this is another grant application to the State Homeland Security Program. We are requesting approximately $12,000 for the funding of a drone with accompanying equipment, accessories, and training for the operators. As you know, the Socorro area is a semi-desert, semi-rural community. There are a lot of areas in the city that are not accessible by a patrol vehicle or even using a UTV. So the drone will allow our officers to quickly canvass an area that is not accessible from a safe distance before they can strategize and respond to any criminal activity or threats.
Excellent.
Rene Rodriguez,
Aye.
Cesar Nevares,
Yes.
Ralph Duran,
Yes.
Victor Pérez Isanza, and Iván Colom Villalobos.
Yes.
Item number 18, discussion and action to approve Resolution 609, authorizing the submission of a grant application to the Office of the Governor, Homeland Security Grants Division, fiscal year 2020, State Homeland Security Program, LETPA, for the Socorro Police Department. There is no match requirement for this grant.
Make a motion to approve.
Second.
Mayor and Council, again, this is the State Homeland Security Program, LEDPA. We're requesting approximately $47,729 for our Socorro Horizon Regional Emergency Response Team. This regional response team was recently created, and they do need a lot of equipment and supplies. We will request tactical entry equipment, interoperable communications equipment, which are radios, first aid kits, other tactical equipment in order to increase their capacity to respond to active shooter incidents or threats in the community.
Rene Rodriguez,
Aye.
Cesar Nevares,
Yes.
Ralph Duran,
Yes.
Victor Pérez Isanza, and Iván Colom Villalobos.
Yes.
Item number 19, discussion and action to approve Resolution 610, authorizing the submission of a grant application to the Office of the Governor, fiscal year 2021, Edward Bryan Memorial Justice Assistance Grant for the Socorro Police Department. There is no match requirement for this grant.
Make a motion to approve.
Second.
Mayor and Council, this is an application to the 2021 Justice Assistance Program. We will be requesting approximately $11,000 for crime mapping software and training to be able to get 5 licenses and training for officers. As you know, crime mapping software is very effective in identifying criminal hotspots in our communities, so that we're able to properly allocate personnel and equipment to those areas that have a higher crime rate and provide a more targeted response.
Rene Rodriguez,
Aye.
Cesar Nevares,
Yes.
Ralph Duran,
Yes.
Victor Pérez Isanza, and Iván Colom Villalobos.
Yes.
Item number 20, discussion and action to approve Resolution 611, authorizing the submission of a grant application to the Office of the Governor, fiscal year 2021, Edward Bryan Memorial Justice Assistance Grant for the Socorro Police Department. There is no match requirement for this grant.
Make a motion to approve.
Second.
Is that a duplicate?
No.
No.
It's a different amount.
This is a different project under the same grant program. We are requesting approximately $6,450 for 45 individual first aid kits for the Socorro Police Department. As you know, recently House Bill 496 was signed by Governor Greg Abbott, which is known colloquially as the Stop the Bleed campaign. This requires all public schools to have Stop the Bleed stations. After an active shooter event, many of the injuries are unfortunately life-threatening because bleeding is not controlled in a timely manner. As you know, active shooter events do not only happen in schools, they may also happen in the community. So we believe that by equipping our officers with those type of first aid kits, they'll be able to respond wherever an incident occurs.
Excellent.
Hey, we have a speaker for this item, Ms. Cruz? Rene Rodriguez,
On.
Cesar Nevares,
Yes.
Ralph Duran,
give kudos to all of you that participated in finding all these freebies. I hope you guys get them all. Excellent work. Excellent work. Thank you.
Chief keeps giving us more work. Thank you,
Yeah.
Chief.
Thank you. Yes.
Item number 21, discussion and action to prepare an RFQ or RFP for professional lobbying services for the 87th legislative session, which begins January 12, 2021 and ends May 31st, 2021.
Make a motion to approve. Second.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. So city staff is seeking guidance from council to prepare ourselves for the 87th legislative session. In 2019, all surrounding municipalities and other agencies were trying to catch up to what was happening at the legislative session. There was 10,877 bills introduced, 4,526 bills were signed into law. Significant bills that impacted municipalities were the SB2 bill, which capped the rollback tax rate. HB 852 has prohibited cities of using building inspections and permit fees as a source of revenue. HB 2439 prohibits municipalities from adopting building and construction material standards, which are more strict than certain national building codes and standards. House Bill 3231 has preempted local ordinances related to the ownership, transfer, or licensing of firearms, knives, or air guns. House Bill 36 is a good bill that passed required lawsuits related to condemnation and demolition to substandard properties be expedited as soon as possible by the court that receives these lawsuits. When before these processes would take years to clear, right? So it would take them years to clear. Now they have expedited. They have said as soon as it hits your court, you need to expedite these type of claims. However, the threshold for the cities that qualify for this is over a population over 500,000. This is why it is imperative that the city has an advocacy firm that can advocate lowering these thresholds and trying to be in front of what is being filed, as opposed to just receiving notification when these laws pass. Session starts January 2021 and ends May 31st, 2021. We need to start now with an RFP for these type of services to prepare for the next legislation. The purpose of the solicitation shall function as the City of Socorro's representative in establishing and maintaining key contacts in the government. That doesn't mean that they can go and advocate for you, but what that means is that they can, if council wants to be part of that, they prepare you and make you go out there and testify, right, when these sessions are happening. So it just depends how involved council wants to be. So last year, the legislation was January 12, 2021 and ended, January 8, 2019 and ended May 27, 2019. We actually were asking to hire an advocacy firm in February. So we were, and I mean, I know Horizon was asking for our support and so was El Paso County, but we were trying to act on it in February when it actually ended in March. Okay, so we were really behind, and I don't want that to happen this coming year. There are 7 concepts that staff has reviewed and has looked into as part of our proposal, and one of them is the expansion of municipal powers. And I want to talk a little bit about that. So municipal powers are the ones that they're stripping us away from building permits, from all of that. So I want them to kind of focus on anything that has to do that thresholds and make sure that they make us aware of what we can do or what bills we can change, just a little bit of wording by not having to create a whole new bill. Okay, that's the expansion of powers. Then we have the historic preservation funding, brick and mortar. We have the half-cent sales tax, the emergency service district and creation of this district, water grants and changing state requirements, solid waste utility and creation, annexation and greater use of by municipality, the Texas Commission on Environmental Quality, TSEQ. Those are the 3 agencies that we're looking into, Texas Park and Wildlife Department and General Land Office. Those are the 7 concepts that we as staff has recommended. I don't know if there's anything that you all would like to add to this RFP, but what we were wanting was guidance and the go-ahead to see if we can start looking into these services.
Ms. Villalobos?
So if we were to, this looks all fine and dandy, but if we were to come across something that we missed, we'd have to come back and vote on it in order for the, the RFQs to be conducted? Is that?
No, the RFQ is conducted and it's their job to make sure and bring back whatever's happening at the legislative, but we need to get them on board before January so they can see exactly what our vision is.
And so
moving
these are some
forward.
of the subjects that you would want them to tackle for us?
Correct.
Right now?
Something that they can research and bring back. Do we actually need legislation change? Do we not? Can we do it without it? Can we, just for them to provide us a little bit of more guidance.
Okay, gotcha.
Any other questions?
Mayor, we have a speaker, Miriam Cruz.
The question's pretty straightforward. The session would be from January to May. But I guess, Ms. City Manager, would you be contracting someone for outside of that time since there's already, talk about what's gonna be going on in the legislative session beforehand? That's just my only question. So how about how long would the contract be for?
So the reason we're asking to start now is because it takes a process to go through the procurement process, and then we have to get them on board as soon as we can in order to start working and all these challenges and be ready for January and prepare council for what's going on.
Mr. Rodriguez?
And just to add to that, tomorrow, I am gonna see State Representative Art Fierro because I want him to do something for the city of Socorro on some current events that have been plaguing us since the end of last year. So we need to start now because he needs to prepare the wording for then. So that's why it's very crucial to start. I totally agree with staff. I mean, this is something that has hurt us in the past because we haven't had any representation. We've lost our intimate domain. We've lost our powers that we had before. So those are issues that we need to. Some of the issues that we needed to fight, and we didn't because we didn't have any representation. And I think that it's about time that we start being proactive instead of reactive. And not just on this, but across the board. I mean, I think it's a good idea, but see how it goes.
Thank you.
Rene Rodriguez.
Aye.
Cesar Nevares.
Yes.
Ralph Duran.
Yes.
Victor Perez is absent, and Ivan Colombia Lopez.
Yes.
Item number 22, discussion and action to approve billboard verbiage for our commission and board members' recruitment.
So good evening, Mayor and Council. At the last meeting, we were, asked if we could go back, and Victor worked on a couple of designs for us, so we brought them back, and I do know that Ms. Colombia Lopez worked on one on her own that she just passed out. We just need to see which ones you select and the locations where you would want to place them.
So,
Ms. Villalobos?
So I kind of took everybody's verbiage on different flyers and kind of made one and kind of added a little bit of what I had envisioned at first. So if you guys want to vote on which one.
Which one?
Mr. Nevares?
I like it, but as you're driving though and trying to read all this, it can be a little too, unless they stop. I think, in my opinion, this one would be a little more eye-catching, but it's up to you guys.
I didn't see that one. Did you see that one?
Mr. Duran?
No, that one.
Yeah.
It's in your backup.
I agree with Mr. Nevares. We need something that they can look at and catch their eye. I agree with him on this one too.
Yeah, you know what? I like this one because it's got a lot of stuff. But I do like this one. But for practical purposes, because you are driving down the road, simple, to the point, you know. But nevertheless, I did like this one though. I did. But they are gonna be driving, so. I mean, it's up to you guys, but.
Safety purposes.
Do we have motion?
Can we, in the motion, add the locations where you would like these?
I would say at the beginning on North Loop, it would be double-sided for both sides to be seen. The other one would be Horizon, right? Horizon, North Loop. Because everybody drives into town, and I don't know where the third one would be. I would say
Socorro
Horizon.
Road?
Yeah, I think we need one on Socorro and Alameda.
Yeah.
Okay.
Our biggest corridors, yeah. Yep, I agree.
What is it, Engle, wherever our city limit is? Or Waco, Nuevo Waco, Tex?
Yeah.
Nuevo Waco, Tex?
Yeah, we can do that right there.
I think,
Mr. Duran?
I think where we have our city limit signs, we could put them right there.
Where?
Where we have our city limit signs, at the beginning of, where you come into the city limits of Socorro, we could put the signs right there where our city limits are. That way, we don't have to look for a place to put them. We already have the stands there. The poles are already there.
There's one on Socorro, there's one here on
Alameda
Alameda,
and one on North Loop.
but they're all on this side, right? Because there's only three that were approved at our last meeting, so 3 locations.
Well, Socorro, North Loop, North Loop, I think North Loop and oh my
Horizon?
God, Waco Tanks, and then North Loop and Horizon.
Do agree with the double-sided.
The one on Socorro, there's a first house that hits it, you can put it before that.
On Socorro?
Well, not on the house, but
No,
like
but-
on the property, yes.
On Socorro, where
On
you're
Socorro
saying
Road.
that the,
So that people can come in and see it.
As long as it gets across,
so entering Socorro.
Entering Socorro on Socorro
This way.
Road, yes.
Okay, and then it's gonna be double-sided.
Going
Yes.
eastbound,
Where we
yes.
have the city limits. And then we're gonna do one in North Loop.
And Waco Tanks, Nuevo Waco Tanks?
Well, I agree with Ralph. It's right
Yeah.
after Inglewood, where
That
our
area,
city limits
yes.
sign is. Yeah.
And then Socorro entering, and then the third one, you want it at the entrance coming this way?
well, it's gonna be double-sided,
Yes.
so we're talking about here in
Horizon.
North Loop and North Loop before I-10? Is that what we're talking
No,
about?
no, Horizon.
I mean, Horizon before,
But you wanted one further out, correct?
no, well, we had suggested that it would be North Loop and Nuevo Waco's tanks, somewhere in that area.
Inglewood.
And then on this side, we would do Horizon, wherever our city limit is, before I-10. Double-sided, all of them.
On Horizon, going up?
Going,
Yeah.
going up either way.
Going either up or down, doesn't matter,
Like
but
where Nancy Road is at?
más o menos like.
Probably down, because if
A
going
little
up,
bit
you'll have
further
the
down.
sun in your
Further
eye.
down, because it really gets blocked off by all the
Right.
heavy truck.
Yeah.
There's a couple of open fields with other signs there.
By the onion fields.
Right, well, right before the onion field, there's there's two sides that are completely just dirt.
Oh, yeah.
Completely
Well, no,
dirt,
I
and
mean,
they're
so
up
we
high.
have to also look into that we have public right of way,
Okay,
right? We can't just go into private
Oh,
property.
yeah, that's private property, somebody already bought it.
I mean, we can do it where the onion field is at,
okay.
Yeah, that'll work.
That will work.
That's ours.
That will work.
double sided, okay? So then we've gotten our 3 Socorro Road, North Loop, and then where the onion field is at.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Okay.
May I make another suggestion? They were all great. And since we do have a lot of communication online, can we blast them online, all of them? Is that okay with you guys?
Yeah.
Yeah, we can do,
Rotate them or
Campaign.
whatever it is?
Yes.
Okay, awesome.
for how long
I
would
agree.
you like the campaign? I mean, constantly, every,
I think,
like once a week? Throughout the day?
I would say 3 times a week, maybe?
The rotation.
Oh, the rotation, once a week, yeah, that would be
Yeah.
nice.
Mhm.
Okay.
And the campaign should last until we fill the positions, or we're pretty close to being filled.
Correct, we just have to make sure that, because we're trying to run the census, and that's right now imperative that we put a lot of emphasis on that.
Okay.
So
Yeah.
we don't wanna distract, I mean, I think we should
Right.
do it, but not constantly, because we do want, I mean, the
Not to
census is our
interrupt.
number one
Exactly,
priority right
that's
now.
No,
a good point.
completely
Yeah.
agree with you.
And then after June, definitely we can continue kind of pushing it more.
Okay.
Would that be okay? So we need a motion.
This one? No, okay. I'd like to make a motion that we approve
Joint
this one.
Joint our team? Second?
At the designated locations.
At the designated locations
And,
That we discussed.
that we discussed.
and that we rotate,
On
the
social
different
media.
social
And
media.
we rotate them on social media. Anything else?
And we have a speaker for this item, Ms. Cruz. Rene Rodriguez,
Aye.
Cesar Nevares,
Yes.
Ralph Duran,
Yes.
Victor Pérez is absent, and Iván Colom Villalobos.
Yes.
Item number 25, discussion and action on status on Mayor Eddie Garcia $400 fine.
Make a motion to postpone.
Second.
Rene Rodriguez,
Aye.
Cesar Nevares,
Yes.
Ralph Duran,
Yes.
Victor Pérez is absent, and Iván Colom Villalobos.
Yes.
Item number 26, discussion and action to direct staff on creating an ordinance that will require a background check for any person who purchases a firearm at a gun show held in the city of Socorro.
Make a motion to postpone for next meeting. The reason why, cause I didn't give the information to our attorney, due to that he wasn't here and he will be here tomorrow, so I'm gonna talk to him, get the required information so I can forward it to our attorney.
Second?
Rene Rodriguez,
Aye.
Cesar Nevares,
Yes.
Ralph Duran,
Yes.
Victor Pérez is absent, and Iván Colom Villalobos.
Yes.
Item number 27, discussion and action on charter amendment with an emphasis on Article 3, Section 3.01 through 3.03.
Make a motion to postpone for next week.
Second.
So,
Oh, we were waiting for,
before we postpone, we were waiting on Mr. Nevares,
that's right.
just so we could move to the next
Oh,
section, because
that's
I
right.
didn't add
That's right. That
anything
was-
to this
we're waiting
section.
on you.
Just on the, terms,
Yes.
not the terms, the, consecutive terms, yeah.
Yeah, we were
term
talking
limits.
about moving from 2 to 3 terms. So we just wanted your yes or no.
Yes.
But no, Mr. Perez is not here.
Perez is not here. so
Yeah,
I
but
think
we
need
already
to-
know where
That's
Mr.
true.
Perez agrees on that,
On 3.
on 3.
Three.
Yes. So
Okay,
me,
so we make the
so me
motion to
3.
approve.
3, okay, and then the following meeting, I'll bring you other sections.
Gotcha.
Okay, so I,
Rescind your motion.
yes, I resent my motion.
So Plus, you wanna approve all the changes that were discussed
All
in
the,
the last
yes,
meeting,
on last meeting.
which we were just gonna update with what we currently have, which are the 4 consecutive and then the staggered terms, right, the 4 years as opposed to the 2.
And we were
Yeah,
also.
because we're just, we're not changing the years because it was already done for us. All we're just doing is changing them because
We're just updating.
we're just updating it. That's all we're doing.
Second?
Aye.
Yes.
I'm looking at section 3.01, item C. It says be elected for 3-year terms.
That's what they were gonna update.
Okay, that's what they're going, okay. Yes.
Yes.
Do we have anything on 9A? No? Do we have a motion to delete? Do we have a motion to delete?
A motion to delete.
Second.
All of them?
Aye.
Los
Yes.
tres?
Yes.
9, 10, and 11.
Yes.
Motion to adjourn.
Second?
Second.
Yes.
Aye.
Yes.
Yes.
7:38, meeting adjourned.
You know it.